There is a certain kind of person who cannot let a single thing stay unplanned. Before the trip is even booked, they have already checked the weather 4 times, read 3 articles about the city, and located the nearest hospital on the map, just in case. At home, they pass the kitchen and touch the gas knob twice. They notice the door that isn't fully locked, the deadline sitting 3 weeks away, the 2 unanswered emails glowing on their screen since morning, louder than the 40 unread messages nobody counts. While everyone else is relaxing, some quiet machine inside them keeps scanning, calculating, preparing. People praise them for it. Organized, responsible, a natural leader. But at 2 in the morning, staring at the ceiling while tomorrow plays like a mission briefing. They know another word for it: exhausting. Here is the truth, nobody tells them. This is not discipline. It is not even intelligence. It is fear, wearing the costume of competence. Today, we decode the psychology of people who need to control everything. Where it began, what it secretly costs, and how life becomes lighter when the grip finally opens. First, we dig for the root. Where does this need come from? Psychology points to 2 origins. For some, the seeds are simply temperament. A nervous system born more sensitive to unpredictability, reacting faster, stronger, earlier to anything uncertain. Science calls part of this profile effortful control, the capacity to plan, to inhibit impulses, to regulate oneself. In a stable home, that trait matures into healthy self-discipline. But for a second group, control was never a preference. It was survival. Picture a child growing up where the adult's moods change like weather, warm on Tuesday, dangerous on Friday. That child cannot afford innocence. Without anyone teaching them, they become a forecaster. They memorize footsteps in the hallway. They learn which door slam means silence for the rest of the night. They study the teacher's face before asking a question, the way sailors study clouds. At school, they read the room before they read books. Prediction becomes protection, and that old equation follows them into adulthood. Unchanged. If I can see it coming, it cannot hurt me. No one chose this. The nervous system simply learned in a world that once rewarded vigilance with safety that control equals calm, control equals staying. The shield worked. The problem is that shields never learn the war has ended. Sign 1. Living from a risk register. For most people, a plan is a sketch. For them, a plan is a contract with reality, and reality keeps breaching it. Watch what happens with something small. A friend invites them to dinner on Saturday. A simple yes could close the matter. Instead, an invisible checklist boots up. What time exactly? Which route avoids traffic? What if the restaurant changed its menu? Is there a backup and a backup for the backup? What if someone cancels at the last minute? Psychologists call the engine beneath all of this intolerance of uncertainty, a mind that treats not knowing the way skin treats an open flame. In laboratory studies, unpredictable mild shocks stress the body more than predictable painful ones. Read that again? The nervous system often prefers guaranteed pain over possible surprise. So the calendar fills with contingencies. The suitcase is packed 2 days early, with a medical kit for a weekend trip. The joy of Saturday is quietly traded for the management of Saturday. And here is the tragedy. They are so busy securing the evening that the evening itself never really arrives. Sign 2. Rehearsal living. They almost never enter a conversation just once. Before the phone call, they run it privately, their opening line, the likely objections, the graceful exit. Before the meeting, an inner theater performs 10 versions of the future, the version where the boss criticizes, the version where the client hesitates, the version where the projector fails and everyone turns. Even a birthday party gets a preview. They decide in advance which topics to avoid and which chair to sit in. Neuroscience calls this simulation prospection, the prefrontal cortex's power to pre-live events. In healthy doses, it is wisdom. In their mind, the theater simply never closes. And the body pays for tickets to every show. Research suggests imagined threats trigger real responses, heart rate climbing, stress hormones flowing. 10 rehearsals can cost 10 days of stress to protect 1 hour of reality. By the time the true moment finally arrives, something sad has happened. They already spent it. Life performs backstage while they remain in the rehearsal hall, polishing lines for scenes that mostly never happen. Sign 3. The delegation allergy. Ask them why they never hand things to others, and they smile. It's faster if I do it myself. But underneath that reasonable sentence lives a darker equation. To delegate is to accept a gap, the gap between what I would do and what you might do. And for this mind, gaps feel like danger. So they rewrite a colleague's slides at midnight. They recheck the work they already checked. On every group project, they quietly become the bottleneck nobody wants to name. Planning the family vacation becomes an argument they didn't want, because someone else's suggestion threatens the itinerary they silently perfected days ago. Psychology links this pattern to a trust calculus shaped by memory, the teammate who dropped everything, the promise that got broken. Each betrayal taught the same lesson. Reliance is risk, but human arms were never designed to carry everything alone. The control that protects them from disappointment guarantees exhaustion instead, and broadcasts a quieter message to everyone nearby. You are not trusted here. Slowly, helpers stop offering, and their proof arrives on schedule. See? Nobody does it right. Sign 4. Feelings are filed, not felt. They treat emotions the way an accountant treats receipts, noted, categorized, stored for later. Sadness gets an appointment. I'll deal with that this weekend. Anger is converted instantly into productivity. Cleaning, email, a suddenly urgent hobby. At the funeral, they are the composed one, handling logistics while others weep, and the crash comes 3 weeks later alone in a supermarket aisle over nothing visible. At the extreme, psychology names this alexithymia, difficulty identifying and expressing feeling. But for controllers, it is usually subtler. They can name every emotion perfectly. They simply never let one finish. This is experiential avoidance, refusing an uncomfortable feeling permission to complete its arc. Yet feelings obey a hard law. Resisted emotions persist. Filed grief compounds interest. The body keeps the ledger the mind refuses to read. Tight shoulders, shallow sleep, a jaw that aches by mid-afternoon, tears that arrive attached to the wrong trigger. Control promised immunity from being overwhelmed. Instead, it built a dam. And a dam is not calm. A dam is pressure, managed. Sign 5. Rituals disguised as preferences. The same seat in the same cafe. Keys always in the left pocket. The playlist must begin with song number 1. The gym works only if it happens at 6, in this order, ending with this stretch. They call these quirks, personality. But watch closely when one breaks. The flat morning when the cafe seat is taken, the disproportionate flash of irritation when someone moves their things. Because these rituals are not preferences at all, they are anti-anxiety technology. Order delivers a small, reliable promise. Somewhere, at least, the world can still be predictable. Routine lets the mind borrow safety when nothing else will guarantee it. The danger is dosage. When rituals multiply, life shrinks to fit the system. Fewer spontaneous invitations accepted. Fewer routes tried, fewer windows open to chance. Freedom quietly trades itself for furniture arranged exactly so, and the fortress of habits becomes a beautiful, comfortable cell. So what happens when a mind like this meets the one variable it can never manage? Other people, illness, loss. The friend who cancels without any explanation. The diagnosis that arrives anyway, despite every symptom tracked and every checkup scheduled. The partner who leaves, even though every early warning was correctly decoded, every mistake corrected in time. This is where control collapses, because its founding promise was half lie. It is true that preparation reduces many pains. It is false that preparation can abolish pain. And when reality demonstrates the difference, controllers usually grip harder. Longer lists, stricter rules, tighter monitoring of everyone they love, the psychological equivalent of squeezing a rope precisely because it is slipping. Perhaps you have watched yourself do this. Doubling down on a strategy that is already failing. If so, understand this with compassion. It was never about the rope. Somewhere inside lives a younger version of you, still standing in that unpredictable house, where forecasting was the only shelter available, still trying, with adult hands, to hold a childhood sky in place. So what sets them free? Not becoming careless, not thinking less. The release begins with a strange instruction. Predict less, tolerate more. Modern therapies for anxiety train one muscle above all others, the capacity to remain inside a situation that refuses to follow the plan without repairing it immediately. And the training starts insultingly small. Send the message after reading it twice, not 9 times. Let someone else choose the restaurant and eat the meal even if it disappoints. Leave one morning a week unplanned and let it unfold, walk a different route on purpose. Each tolerated surprise teaches the nervous system the sentence controllers were never allowed to hear growing up. Uncertainty is uncomfortable and survivable. Over time, a gentler reflex replaces the alarm. Maybe it goes well, maybe it doesn't. Either way, I remain. Not every silence is a warning. Not every slow reply is a verdict. Sometimes a delayed answer is just Tuesday. The second release is quieter, moving from managing life to inhabiting it. Management lives in the future. Presence lives in the senses. So the practice is anchoring where control cannot follow, the warmth of the cup in both palms, rain ticking against the window, the exact weight of tired feet on the staircase at the end of a long day. 10 seconds of genuine noticing, repeated daily, slowly retrains attention away from the inner theater. Walking without the phone just once around the block becomes a small revolution, and a discovery waits there, the one every heavy planner eventually meets. Most of the catastrophes they rehearsed never arrived. Meanwhile, the unguarded moments, laughter from the kitchen, evening light crossing an ordinary wall, arrived constantly and were mostly missed. Presence does not demand abandoning planning. It demands demoting it. Plans return to being servants, useful, disposable tools, instead of kings every moment must obey. In the end, this was never a film about becoming loose or careless. The gift is real. They see risks early. They hold families together. They finish what others abandon. The task is only the dimmer switch. Inside every controlling mind runs an inner operator managing the lights, and that light can burn as a harsh floodlight, exposing every flaw in every imagined future, or it can be dimmed to a steady lantern, bright enough to prepare wisely, warm enough to actually live tonight. If you recognized yourself here, the lists, the rehearsals, the midnight briefings, hear this clearly. You are not broken. You are protected, guarded all these years by a loyal soldier who never received the news that the war ended. Thank that soldier. Then, slowly, gently, let them stand down. If this film described you, leave a comment with the sign that fits hardest, and send it to someone who plans too much and rests too little. They are not controlling. They are tired, and they were brave for a very long time in ways nobody counted.